Hello, everyone. Ex-Wall Kill Bethelite here. And I want you to think about how tough it is for people to get over a uh, relationship, marriage that could have been a 10-year long marriage. I don't know if any of you have ever been divorced. I have not uh, been divorced before. I haven't been married before. But I have heard, not just from people that have been divorced, but people who have had a mate pass away, how hard it is to get used to not having something that you were so used to around. Not having that person around. Like I remember hearing about people who years later still wake up thinking about the same routine, getting their husband breakfast. You're going to have a discussion over the newspaper. These are people who had been married for 50 years and then their spouse dies and they don't completely get over it. There's people that have been in relationships where they weren't even married, and it takes them a while to get over something that was so important in their life. And the reason I want to think about that, and for you to think about, even if you haven't been in the situation, other people who have been in the situation where someone they love died, or they broke up with them, or they got a divorce, and it threw them off completely. It took them a long time to get over it, multiple years. The reason why we want to think about that is to give people a point of reference on one of the reasons why it takes people so long to get over the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's great when people leave. It's great when people wake up to what is a false religion. It's not true. What Jehovah's Witnesses are teaching people, a lot of it is not true. They aren't what they say they are. Once a person comes to that realization, someone who's never been a Jehovah's Witness that doesn't know anything about it may think, oh, that's the end of it. They're fine now. Many times that's not the case. And what people have to do is have some sort of point of reference, some way of understanding why that is the case. We all understand the reason why it takes people a long time to get over a relationship. People in general know that. They understand that. Well, you need to make that same correlation, because with Watchtower, it's not a regular religion. It's a part of people's lives in the sense that it tells you what to do in every aspect of your life. I mean, being a Jehovah's Witness is like being in a controlling relationship. So people who are leaving Watchtower, it's really similar to a person leaving a very controlling relationship. And now this person has to learn how to think on their own. See, their partner used to tell them what to think about everything. Their partner used to tell them what to do all the time. A person coming out of that type of relationship, they now got to learn some sort of independence. They got to learn to stand up for themselves. They got to learn to make their own decisions. They have to learn how to think. The exact same correlation is true with Jehovah's Witnesses that leave that cult. That group was so controlling, it would tell you what to do. I remember as a Jehovah's Witness growing up. I would have a schedule set up so that I could study everything that we were supposed to study. And we would have a meeting. Let's say we had a meeting on Tuesday. Well, I would have to get studied before my Tuesday meeting. So studying for that, studying for going out knocking on doors, and the process of knocking on doors and whatnot would take up a lot of time up until Tuesday. Well, then I would have another meeting on Thursday. Well, what do I do between Tuesday and Thursday? I'm studying for my meeting between Tuesday and Thursday, researching everything that they're telling me to research, spending most of my time doing what they're telling me to do, and also going door to door as much as possible in between that time. Well, after Thursday, I got another meeting Sunday. And I got field service Saturday. So between Thursday and that coming weekend, I'm spending my time preparing for Saturday field service. Sometimes as a family, we would put on little skits where we would practice what we would say to a householder. And then also our watchtower study. You want to have those things studied because that Sunday you're going to sit down and everybody's going to expect complete participation from everybody. It literally, you were busy all the time. And then at your job, when you're not on your own time, you're at work, the mindset is trying to figure out how to convert the people around you. Watchtower envelops every aspect of your life. The way you date as a JW would date. You are talking about something that controls every aspect of a person's life. There's certain jobs that you would not choose because you're a JW. You're controlled in every aspect. Now, a person such as myself, when I had to come to the realization that this is a corporation, this is a business, this isn't really God running none of this. You now have all this time to yourself. You can still study the Bible, but you don't have anybody telling you from where to start and where you finish. With Watchtower, you did. With Watchtower, you knew on this day, I start reading here in the Bible, and then I finish here in the Bible because that's what we're going to cover in the next meeting. You can still read all kinds of religious material, but with Watchtower, they told you you're reading this specific magazine, this specific book. You're starting at this point in the Watchtower. You're starting at this point in the book, and you're finishing here, and then you're going to be prepared for this meeting. You could date a number of people, but with Watchtower, these are your options. This is what you're looking for. I mean, you could work wherever you want it, but you're coming from Watchtower where these are the types of jobs that you want. Jobs where you can spend more time knocking on doors and passing out magazines. You're talking about a person who was a part of something that there really is no difference between being a part of Watchtower, part of that cult, and being in a controlling relationship, a very controlling relationship. And a lot of my friends who have come out of that cult, that controlling cult, have gotten counseling. And I've heard nothing but good things from my friends personally. Now, I didn't go and have counseling, and more than likely the process of reacclimating myself to life would have probably been easier with counseling. And I think that counseling is something to look into. Oftentimes you may work someplace where they provide some type of counseling there. You may work someplace that, you've got pretty good insurance where that would take care of a lot of the counseling, and you may only want to go once a month. But that's one of the reasons why counseling is important, because counseling is important for a person losing a major part of their life if their spouse passes away or they are coming out of a controlling relationship. Well, it's the same with Watchtower. We want to have that same understanding that a person may choose not to have counseling, but their road to self-independence, learning to live without Watchtower, is just as difficult and just as complex. Really think about that. Sometimes people underestimate what they have accomplished as a survivor of that cult, a Watchtower survivor. You may not fully give yourself credit for the journey you have undertaken. You've undertaken a journey where not only are you crossing out a part of your life that was toxic but controlled every aspect of it, sometimes you're losing family in the process. You should give yourself credit for the amount of work it took for you to get to the point where you are right now. And you should give yourself the permission to, if you would like, look into counseling. Because you're going through something that society as a whole may not really understand, because Jehovah's Witnesses are not a big deal to most people. They're just not a big deal on the world stage. They don't do anything. They don't have no charities. They don't really do anything for the community, but litter with watchtowers everywhere and knock on people's doors and get on people's nerves. I mean, there were people putting advertisements for restaurants in people's doors, I saw. And then there were people putting something about COVID on people's doors, I saw. That's pretty much all Watchtower does. Like, I don't know who these people are. When I walk past them, it doesn't register that these people are important. It's the same when people walk past a Jehovah's Witness putting magazines inside of a laundromat. It's not, that's just what they do. Like, it's not a situation where people really take note of it. So since the community as a whole don't really understand what's going on with Watchtower, and we want to give ourselves the credit for surviving a cult that is as controlling as any cult. Scientology became popular probably because of the movie stars and whatnot that were a part of it, but Jehovah's Witnesses are just as controlling. They're just as controlling. I mean, you can't get too much more controlling other than controlling every aspect of a person's life, whether they vote or not, whether they can accept certain medical treatments or not. Like, you didn't have to think. To be quite honest with you, as a Jehovah's Witness, you didn't have to think. And for some people, that's an attractive thing. I've talked to a person over the phone, and basically they're looking for something similar to Watchtower. They know Watchtower is a cult, but they're looking for something similar where they don't have to think. They just want everything told to them. They don't want to think about anything. They don't want to think about what they're going to do the next hour. They're looking for another Watchtower corporation to tell them everything that they need to do. And I've said this before in some of my videos, and it's never really that popular, but there are people where intellect is an issue. There's people where intellect is an issue. Let's go for a quick drive here. I'm gonna need to hit the gas station. There are people who it's appealing to have everything told to them as far as what to do, what to think, and everything else, because it puts them in a situation where life isn't as confusing. People who intellect is an issue. I mean, the world is a big place. Life is confusing. They would have a lot of things to figure out. A person who's not that bright, it is very attractive to have a group of people offer to tell you what to think all the time about everything. And I'm just being honest because, you know, I've got friends who are Jehovah's Witnesses, and typically what I have noticed is the person in that family that is holding everybody else in that religion tends to be the one that's not the brightest. Nobody wants to leave the religion because they're going to really upset this person in their family that they love, but they're pretty slow. They're not that bright. People who are not really that smart tend to be the ones who nobody wants to upset and tell them, hey, this is a cult. I kind of want to leave. There was a specific situation where I went over a family's house. They were JWs. And I was talking to the guy sitting down on his couch, and I hadn't been to a meeting forever. I knew it was a cult. And he never even brought up Watchtower. We were having regular conversation about all kinds of different things. And the thought in my mind is why are you even in this? Is what I'm thinking, because you seem such like a regular person. Well, then that person's wife came in the room. And everything was Watchtower. Everything out her mouth was Watchtower. And there you go. That's the reason. You got a person in the family that is mentally, they're gone. They can't think for themselves. And if he tries to leave, this person would have a heck of a time. And I've noticed that in other families also. And it's not that people who aren't everybody's not Einstein. So I don't, as frustrated as I may get, I don't want to keep talking bad about people who it appeals to them to have everything told to them because they're just not that bright. There are some of the nicest people. They are people that are really, really skilled in a lot of different areas of life. They're super skilled at different things. I mean, it's just overall intellect is not all the way there. And it tends to be those are the people that tend to hold everybody else in that cult. Because everybody in the family knows we ain't going to be able to get them out. They can't live without somebody telling them what to do all the time. I've seen it in too many different situations. Too many different situations. You have either the person who's just not that smart, and Watchtower is their brain, and then you have the people who have got high positions, and Watchtower is the only person, that's the only group that's going to give them a position, and they're not leaving because of that. They may know it's not the truth, but they like it. You know, I don't want to sound negative, but you know, that's been true in many situations. Many families, I think they could leave that religion, but there's somebody in a family that's just not that bright, and those tend to be the people that Watchtower's got their claws in. So Watchtower provides a situation for them where everybody thinks the same thing. They feel smart because the only thing anybody's going to talk about at the hall is the Watchtower or whatever else they're studying that week. They know what everybody's going to talk about. And everybody's going to talk about, oh, this terrible old system. Everything that goes wrong is all this terrible old system. If you can cover that, you've covered intellectual discussion in a Kingdom Hall. For a person that's not that smart, that is very appealing to be able to go into an entire group and your level of thought equals their level of thought. Or at least your level of intellectual conversation is not going to be lower than anybody else's in the entire Kingdom Hall, because they're all talking about the same stupid stuff. It's unfortunate, but people who are not smart like to be in situations where they feel smart, and Watchtower makes people who are not smart feel like not only are they smart, but they're important. And I don't really have a solution for that type of a situation, you know, because nobody's going to want to be told that they're wrong and that, you know, the only thing in the world that makes them feel special and feel smart and feel important is a cult. But it is what it is. And then I just wanted to definitely encourage counseling, because it is that important. Don't think, oh, this is small, I shouldn't feel like this is hard. It's hard. Watchtower told you what to do in every aspect of your life. You wake up to the morning text. You wake up to Watchtower. You're supposed to do your personal study after you get done studying everything they tell you. And personal study involves just studying more Watchtower stuff. Like, you got to find a way to recover from the loss of that major influence. And yeah, I definitely think counseling is a good idea. It's something I should have done myself. And comment down below, let me know what you think. Has anybody else experienced counseling, what it would have been like with or without? Let me know in the comments. And it's X Wall Kill Beth Light signing out.